Alright, so it's time for the third installment of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Core Concepts brought to you by Island Top Team. So today we're going to discuss thinking about steps and process rather than entire technique. So we're going to address the arm drag first. So a very common thing is to arm drag and try to go right to the back from it and have that be a technique. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. However, against better people, it's very hard to achieve that much continuous movement without getting an answer. So what we want to do is break down our movements into, rather than techniques, into fundamental movements that allow us to have a decision-making process at each stage. So, for instance, I'm going to start with the drag motion. I dominate the hand and I create a hinge in the arm, and that's my first decision point is, am I going to continue the drag to the back, or am I going to try to pull him on top of me and sweep me? In this case, we're addressing the drag to the back. So I make my drag, and this is my first decision point. Have I stayed behind his elbow? Am I controlling his base here? And did I drag him far enough forward that I separated his upper body from his lower body, which we addressed in the earlier videos? If I have, then it's perfectly legitimate for me to throw my other hook in and continue to the back. However, if I drag to here, but I feel that the other person is in good base, and I haven't separated his upper body from his lower body, I need to address that before I continue. So I'm going to get to his hip now, and I'm going to get to my base, and make sure, if you come around a little bit, and make sure that I'm controlling his post, and his post over here, and his hip. Now, because his elbow, if you come around a little bit further, is in proper position, he's blocking my far hook, I should not advance. This is my decision point. Where do I want to go from here? The first thing I'm going to do is base, drive my hip into his post, and pull on his hip. And as I feel this balance break, I move my hips out of the way, he falls, and I go to my seatbelt or harness, depending on whether you use the Marcelo Garcia or Ryan Hall nomenclature. And a quick note, if you ever get a chance to train with Ryan Hall, he's awesome, totally do it. A lot of the concepts I teach I didn't understand fully until I was exposed to his information, so shout out to Ryan Hall. So again, we want a decision-making process. Decision point 1, decision point 2, decision point 3. For instance here, if I start pulling him but settle down into your base, if I start pulling him but he resists it, then maybe I sit up and I attack differently. Maybe I start looking for a clock choke. So rather than thinking in terms of individual techniques like the arm drag to the back in all one motion, you want to think in terms of fundamental movements. So in this case, the arm drag is a fundamental movement. This is part of my technical stand-up, getting to a post. This is a fundamental movement, controlling the hip and blocking the other person's post. Taking someone out of base is a fundamental movement. Putting the hooks in and securing the back, those are fundamental movements. If you look to use fundamental movements, addressing base, posture, and structure, which we will do in the next video, then you'll have much more success against higher level people because you'll be moving correctly at the correct time for the correct response, rather than thinking, I must do arm drag to the back because that's all I know. So again, creating decision points and fundamental movements is another one of your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu core concepts brought to you by Island Top Team. If you find yourself in lovely Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada, come visit us. We're very friendly.